You're going to be disappointed in life. Your relationships will disappoint you, your employer, your church, your family, your government. This world is full of disappointments, and it can often lead us into despair, cynicism, anger, depression, which of course is not a Christian or manly way to respond to disappointment. So I want to ask in this video, how do we approach disappointment? How do we respond to it? What can we learn from it? And the first thing I would say is just prepare for it. It is going to come. Even the best people in your life will, in one way or shape or form, disappoint you. And this isn't about becoming a nihilistic Eeyore, but just being realistic. That, yeah, you appreciate God's providence and His kindness, and you appreciate people's kindness towards you, but you're still ready for when that might flip. Yeah, God can disappoint you as well. Not that you have a right to be disappointed in Him, but we feel disappointment at times. Yes, people are going to disappoint you, and sometimes you're rightly disappointed. So I think just to be ready for that life is not just going to be one unbroken, comfortable, easy ride. So realistic, prepare. Number two, share your disappointment. When you are disappointed, what are you going to do with it? I think the first thing you do with it is take it to God. That's what the psalmist did. There's so many psalms of lament where he's bringing to God the disappointments he had in life. Even from his best friends at times, he talks about, had betrayed him and forsaken him. And so he brings it to God, he shares it with God, he casts this burden of disappointment on the Lord to experience the Lord's care for him and His carrying of that disappointment with him. But the New Testament also tells us to share our disappointment with others, with other Christians, to have other Christians be our burden bearer. So it's just, the thing is not to carry it around, closed up, embittered, just making yourself, crazed or furious. No, share it with the Lord, share it with other people, seek the Lord's help, seek the prayers of God's people, and in that way, just let out your disappointment. The third thing is to remember Jesus. He lived on this earth. He had more disappointments than anyone that has ever lived. Even His disciples that He came to save disappointed Him. They all forsook Him. One denied Him. One betrayed Him. He came to His own received Him not. You talk about disappointment and pain. And I say remember Jesus because He can therefore sympathize with your disappointment. When we go to Him with our disappointments, we know there's someone who knows what it's like. And therefore He can support us as well as sympathize with us. The fourth thing is to submit to disappointment. A common reaction when we're disappointed is to get angry. Maybe angry with God, shake our fist in God's face. How could you do this to me? Or to others. We get angry with other people. How could they do that? How could he do that? How could she do that? And there's an arrogance, there's an aggression, there's a hostility, which of course is extremely damaging to us and others. And so I think we're called to submit to disappointment, to accept it. That doesn't mean when people have really wronged you that you can't pursue justice. No, you can, but it's pursuing justice by seeking the help of God's ordained authorities to secure justice rather than you seeking it yourself. So an attitude of submission, acceptance. And then fifthly, grow from disappointment. Disappointment is a very fertile ground for sin, but it's also a very fertile ground for sanctification. Partly by when you feel that pain of disappointment, that you put much more effort into not disappointing others, therefore living more godly, more selflessly. Also, when you feel the pain of disappointment, it should make you think, have I ever done this to others in the past? Maybe I need to go and put some things right. And it also helps you serve, grow in service, because when you feel disappointment, you feel its pain, and yet you've been comforted by God and other Christians in that, then you can serve others also who pass through disappointment. So you grow in usefulness. And then disappointment should make you hopeful, not for a better world, but for another world, for the world to come, life after death. As long as we're in this world, it's going to be a disappointing time, but in the world to come, disappointment will be no more. We will be fully satisfied, fully content, fully happy, full of praise, and indeed we'll see the role disappointment played in our lives. So last week we looked at failure, which was us disappointing others. This week we're looking at disappointment, which is how others fail us. And yet both of these painful experiences can be real areas for maturing and growth in the Christian life.